Are you feeling a little sticker shock from your Flower Mound property tax bill? Well, you're not alone, but don't stress and don't panic because we are going to be sharing with you some of the easiest ways to make sure that you're saving every dollar possible without all the stress. And should you decide to dive in and get every single dollar that you can find, we're going to show you exactly how to do that. So stick around towards the end.
Hi there, we're Bret and Molly Chance with Texas Home Life Realty right here in Flower Mound. And we love helping families save time, money, and energy when it comes to real estate.
Today, we're walking you through just some simple steps to make sure that you're not overpaying on your property taxes. So before you dive into protesting, it's important to look and make sure that you're locked in to the savings that you already are qualifying for. And that's what we're going to dive into first.
That's right. So first of all, double check to make sure that you have already filed for all the exemptions you have already qualified for. Now, the biggest one of this that we see is the general residential homestead exemption. And that is huge because that right there alone will take $100,000 off of your school taxes from Louisville ISD. Then the second one gives you 15% off your taxable value from the town of Flower Mound. Then your third one is 1% off the taxable amount from Denton County alone. Then the last big thing with homestead exemption is they cannot increase your taxable amount more than 10% from the previous year.
That's right. They cap it. They put a cap on it so it cannot go over that 10%. And you'll probably see that on your notice. I know we have in the past several years. Thankfully, we did not this year.
And, to be clear on the homestead exemption, that is just designed for your primary residence here in Texas. So it does not apply if you have like investment properties or commercial properties or anything like that, just for your primary residence.
Now, let's talk about a couple of questions that we see asked, and we get asked a lot over this exemption. First of all is, do I have to apply every single year? There's been a recent change, and that's caused some confusion with people. There's a lot of misinformation out there about this. No, you do not have to reapply every year. You only have to reapply in certain situations. So if your status has changed, if that's not your primary residence any longer, say you decided to rent your house out and go move somewhere else, then yes, you have to remove that exemption, obviously, because you have to be living there. Now, what's new about this is they may ask you to reapply. It used to be a one and done, and now they can ask you to reapply. If the chief appraiser, for whatever reason, decides that he wants to see, what's going on there, but they will send you a letter. You don't have to worry about, asking of it because they're supposed to send you a letter to say, hey, we need you to reapply. Now, the second question is, does it cost anything to apply for this general residential homestead exemption? No, it does not. And here's the thing, when people buy a new home here in Texas, a lot of times they'll get a lot of mail. And some of those letters look very legitimate. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they're not really a scam. They are legitimate, but people don't always understand what they're saying. So they're offering to file for your homestead exemption, but they'll charge you a fee. And you don't have to do that. I mean, you can do that and pay them if you want to, but it's really easy just to do it on your own, and you can do it for free. You can either go online and do it online, or you can mail it in. You can go, in person to do it, but it does not cost you anything.
And by doing it yourself, you have the peace of mind knowing that it's done rather than trusting somebody else that you're not for sure about. So yeah.
Right. And you could always go online and check that to make sure it shows on the tax records. It'll show that you have a homestead exemption on there. And if you're still not sure, just call down there. If it's not right, I wouldn't call right now. They're really hard to get in touch with, in the busy season. But yes, when you think about it, call and make sure that's done.
The other exemptions you may qualify for that you're not aware of, but there are definitely some good ones to check out. The first one is the over 65 exemption. And what that does is takes $10,000 off of your school taxes, and it also freezes that amount. So that way you're set on that. The second one is going to be the disabled persons exemption. That is $10,000 off of the school taxes as well. Then the third one is the disabled veteran. Now this one really depends significantly on the rate of, disability that the veteran has, of how much reduction of taxes there will be on the house. Now, the last one is the surviving spouse exemption. This only happens when you have a surviving spouse of a veteran that has passed or first responder that has passed.
Now, there may be others. So there's plenty of them, and you may have them. We got them with our notice. There was an entire sheet of different exemptions, but you can always go to the Texas Comptroller's website and see what all those exemptions are to make sure that you're getting everything that you are qualified for. And our second tip here is to, if you do feel like that your value is too high, make sure that you register to protest and you do it by the deadline. This is one of the biggest things I see people asking questions on social media every year. I missed the deadline. What can I do? Well, unfortunately, nothing. So make sure that you understand when that deadline is. It's either May 15th or it is 30 days from your notice, which it'll show you a little date on your notice sheet that you get of when that date is. For us, it was April 15th, so it's the 30 days. But it's going to be whichever is later, 30 days or May 15th. So make sure that you don't miss that deadline to be able to protest.
So then when it comes to filing your protest, you have really two different options. The first of all is either you can go in person or file it online, your protest. Now, what that does is an informal meeting. If you go inside or go to the tax office and you just meet with an appraiser right there, bring your evidence of, hey, we feel like our house should be at X point, whatever that number is. And then you can work out a deal with them right there. And if you're happy with it, then there's no need to go to the second step. Now, the second step is if you're not happy with what was, you talked with the appraiser about, is to go to the formal review board. Now, you're going to take all of your information that you showed the appraiser up front of, hey, here's the evidence of, I believe our property tax should be at X. And then that board will decide what they want to do. And that is the final decision of what that will be.
You go ahead and you file for your protest, which that date that they're going to give you is with the board, the appraisal review board. But go ahead and lock that date in. But you can still informally, which is either in person or online, you can protest that. And then if you're happy with those results, then you can cancel your appointment to go and meet with the appraisal review board. So it's just locking in to make sure that you have that right to protest. Now, if you do want to go in person, I believe now they have a link that you have to go online and actually click schedule your time to come in. It used to be that we could just, go in whenever we wanted to, but now since everybody's protesting, which I think they should, you have to schedule your time to go in. So those are a couple things to keep in mind. So like I just said, we feel like everybody should protest. Even if you feel like your value is okay or even below, still protest on that. Well, here's why. We get these questions of, hey, my value is fine. Should I still protest? Well, sometimes there's a way that they can, if other homes similar to yours have been even lower, then, you could still get a lowered value on that. And secondly, if your taxable value is capped, why protest? Well, because over time, it's going to build up that market value. And so it's best, even if you don't see the savings right now, you still keep it low. That's what we've done in the past as well. Keep fighting it because it keeps that market value low for you.
And one thing to be clear is, even though you're fighting the market value to keep it down on the tax office, that has nothing to do with the market price of if you were to go to sell your home. This is just only for taxable purposes, because the tax office, they don't update the records as nearly as much as what the market trends are doing and things like that. So that's a totally different market value.
Yeah, your taxable amount. I mean, we used to hear this a lot. I think people are starting to understand more that whatever you see on tax records as the value, the market value of the home, is not necessarily what it would sell for in the open market. Two totally different beasts there.
Totally, yeah. Now, if you're needing help gathering evidence to be able to help fight your property taxes, just let us know. We'll send you a free list of homes I've sold in your area to be able to use with the tax office. So if you live in Flower Mound or the surrounding areas, just click on the QR code or the link below.
Right. It's quick, it's easy, and it'll be great for you to have those comparables. And I'll give you another little tip on this that I learned from someone who used to sit on the appraisal review board for many, many years. He told us it's always really good to take photos. If you have things in your home or around your home, inside, outside, that are in need of repair, they are not up to market standards, I would say. Take photos of those things, get even quotes of what it would cost to repair those things. All those things can be evidence besides comparable properties so that you can take in and use for your pros test either online or in person. Now, moving on to tip number 3. If this all feels very overwhelming to you, you can always just hit the easy button and hire someone else to do it for you. So there are property protest companies out there that will do this for you. You just, file some paperwork with them. It's not a big deal. And they typically charge a percentage of whatever reduction they get for you off of the market value price. So if they don't get a reduction, then you don't pay anything.
That's right, because last year we decided to go ahead and hire one of these companies since normally we do it ourselves. And they're able to help us get $31,000 off of our market value.
Yes.
Which was huge with that. So the company only charged us 1% of the decrease of market value. Then they also only charged or took 50% off of the bill because we already had the homestead exemption. So at the end of the day, it only cost us maybe $160 to be able to get that $31,000 reduction in market value. Now, it did not lower our taxes that we're paying.
Right
However,
away, yeah.
but that cap definitely will help. And over time, we're going to be reaping the rewards of saving on the property taxes.
Right. Well, we already saw it this year because they didn't, since we started at a lower market value, they only raised it, I think, 3.5%, but it started at that lower value. And so we're already seeing that reaping the rewards this year, even though we didn't last year. We definitely thought it was worth it. However, if you choose to go and protest on your own, then you don't want to miss our next video, how to protest your Texas property taxes and when. We actually sat down with a former appraisal district insider, and he shared some of his best kept secrets of how to present your case and walk away with the best possible outcome. So check it out.